Welcome. Please have a seat. Hello, friends. Welcome back. If you're new to the channel, hello. My name is Nabil. I just realized that I'm filming in a very poorly lit area, and so I hope the content will speak for itself today. But yeah, I just had this really insightful conversation with a great group of people. Very fresh today, still fresh in my mind. So I thought I'd just record this video as soon as possible to share with you what I've learned about caring about the metaverse, or whether or not you should care about it at all. Yeah, let's make it clear, like right from the start, this video is not about whether or not the metaverse is going to blow up. I will not give you my take on whether or not it will blow up, or if you should invest heavily in it. That's not necessarily the point of the video. The point of the video is more general tips and advice on investing or thinking about or caring about trends or opportunities that we're not sure are going to take off. Arguably, every trend or opportunity is uncertain to some extent, but with things like the metaverse, Web3, even crypto at this point, the uncertainty is just heightened because of the fact that it's just so recent, and there's such differing opinions about whether or not this is going to be mainstream, it's going to be the future or whatever. And so the point of the video is really just to talk about whether or not you should care about it, and what your approach should be to it, I believe, in my opinion. But I won't be telling you about the arguments for or against the mainstream adoption of the metaverse, and no predictions on how long it's going to take or what it's going to look like. For that, I will try to link resources in the description, but I am not an expert in that, so that's not the point of the video. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get into actually the meat of it, which is, should you care about this stuff? So again, won't be defining the metaverse, but I will try to link resources down below. But once you've gotten that past initial step of just like realizing what the metaverse is, one of the first things that at least came up in my mind once I got that basic understanding is, okay, should I care about it? How much should I invest how much time should I invest in learning more about it? How much should I think about it in a business context because I'm an entrepreneur, etc. And so it's been on pause in my mind for a really long time, just because there haven't been, huge developments or huge hardware advancements since maybe a couple months ago, or since the big Facebook Meta rebrand. And so it's been on pause. But recently, I've had this chat with a great group of people. For confidentiality's sake, I'm just going to say some of them were really experts in their fields. Not just in tech, but also in business in general, where, it's probably top of mind in their case, whether or not they should care about the metaverse, just because there's so many implications in the businesses that they're in. I'm sorry, this is vague, but the idea is I had this great conversation with different people that are experts in different fields that could feed into this conversation. And my big takeaway that I'd like to share with you regarding whether or not you should care about the metaverse, or what your, approach to caring about it should be, actually is transferable to other areas. So hear me out. Whether you're a business owner or not, what I'm going to tell you can apply to your approach to uncertain trends or predictions that you think could be opportunities. And so let me start by telling you what the takeaway is. So the idea is that as a business, at least, and again, we'll transfer this to more individual use cases soon, but as a business, you should spend the 90% of your resources, so time, money, if you have employees, like employee time, you should spend the 90% of your resources on what will make you money or drive business growth for the next year. You should spend 5 to 7% of, what's remaining resource-wise on what's going to make you money in the 12 to 18 months, so more of the some people will argue that's still very short term, but more of the midterm. And then only 3 to 5% of your resources should be spent on thinking about big, uncertain, very long-term opportunities like the metaverse. And so this resonated with me for a couple of reasons, right? The first reason is it's just very true that unless you're a large corporation or in a situation where you're like heavily in gaming or in like these very specific fields where the metaverse could be more relevant or top of mind for the audience that you're serving, for most of you, business-wise, you're in a field where this isn't like top of mind in the short term, right? And so it makes sense to not invest heavily, or if at all, in this if it's just so uncertain, right? Like as an entrepreneur, you have to weigh the opportunity cost of what you venture into and what you put your resources into. And this is a very simple concept, right? But it's just so important to think about here, because investing even just time, pure just time and education into this topic comes at the cost, or at the opportunity cost of not doing so in other things that could be making you like short-term gain. And like, listen to this. I'm a very strategic guy, high level vision, right? I'm all for nurturing a long-term vision, and not sacrificing long-term gain for just direct short-term benefit. But when it comes to something that's not only long-term but also uncertain, you start to get this mix of, that's not where you want to spend most of your time. And so I don't know if I agree with the exact percentages, right? I don't know if the 90 or 5 and then 3 to 5 is the right split, but I definitely think that a majority, I mean, I would bring it down to a range, right? I would do maybe like 60 to 80% of your time and resources should be spent on what is going to make you money or grow your business or your goals in the immediate like 12 months. And then I do maybe like 10 to 15 for the 12 to 18 months, and then 5 to 10 for the long term, or more than 18 months. But whatever the percentages are, I think there's tremendous value in just having that mindset as an entrepreneur. Now, once we talked about this in a business setting, but transfer it beyond that, right? As a person, I want to know about what's going to be, a top of mind for a lot of people that not only I could sell to as an entrepreneur, but also I'm going to interact with, right, as a person. And so I'd like to transfer this, especially for those of you out there that are into this, but that aren't necessarily entrepreneurs or like owners of large corporate resources. Even as a person, I think you can adopt this approach to where you spend your resources, thinking about different things and what you care about. Because the metaverse, whether you're a person or a corporation, the adoption of the metaverse, is going to impact you, right? And it's going to impact you in different ways at different points in time. And so as a person, I think you should also adopt that approach, where if something seems very uncertain, very long term, care about it minimally compared to what's in your immediate future. Now, this sounds very intuitive and natural, right? Like back in the day, like Hunter, I don't know if that's a good example, but as humans, we want to fulfill our immediate needs, right? Like food, shelter, and all that. But I feel like once you get past that and you start thinking about things that are more complex, like the metaverse, things that are more not only complex, but things that are so like flashy, right? They're in the news. Everyone's talking about it being the future or being like not the future at all. And there's just so much debate around it and so buzzworthy that skews that intuitive approach to whether or not you should care about stuff. And I think it's important in those situations where there seems to be a lot of noise to understand that the noise could be a path towards mainstream adoption and could be a path towards opportunity, but at the same time, stay level-headed in how you approach educating yourself, investing your resources, and all that. So again, no matter what the percentages are, spend the majority of your time. This is kind of like a recap, but that's what I've learned from the conversation, and I think is very valuable. Spend the majority of your time on stuff that will benefit you in the short term. Once you feel like comfortable in your short-term situation, spend a nice chunk of your time, but not too much of it, in what's going to benefit you in the short to mid term. So more like longer term, but not too short term either. You get what I mean? And then especially if you're a curious person by nature and you're just like curious about the future and you like thinking about this stuff, it can increase a little bit, but do spend a slim part of your resources and your time and your effort caring about and educating yourself and perhaps investing in very long-term down the road things that might not work out, because here's the thing, like the investment may be small, but it can hit big. And it's kind of like VC, right? Or all these fields where it's, you never know what's going to happen, but I feel like it's worth caring about, whether it's the metaverse or something else, whether it's you're a business or you're a person or you're both. It's worth caring about, but moderately, and just level head yourself knowing those things. That's my 2 cents. Please let me know if you agree or not. Please let me know what your take on it is. And again, I feel like if you're very passionate about these things like the metaverse, by all means, you don't go 100% into it and like quit your day job to just focus on it because it's your passion, but spend more than the 10%, spend freaking 30% of your time, spend all your free time on it, right? As a passion. But I'm speaking generally to people who are perhaps somewhat interested in it, but not like dying to learn more. I think that approach is the best one to take. And that's at least the one that I think I'll be taking for the near future. But again, I'm going to try to have some resources below if you want to learn more about this, because I'm not an expert. And yeah, that's my 2 cents. Please do check out, I have a video about FOMO, about opportunities in general, that I think could be relevant if you resonated with anything I said. So do check it out. It takes crypto as an example and my story with crypto. But I think it can be relevant here as well, because whether the FOMO feels like it's about an opportunity that's very short term or long term, the FOMO is the same similar feeling in those two situations, in my opinion. So I think that can be valuable to you as well. All right, friends, that's my 2 cents. See you in another one.